Church Street. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Friday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us to close out the week here on Hacker After Dark. What a week it's been. From a national championship for the Florida Gators to the Jacksonville Jaguars returning for off-season workouts. The Masters going on right now. The Florida Gators and many other schools have a spring football game tomorrow, and we are on the doorstep of what I think might be a major story in college football, if not college athletics. So we're certainly going to get into all that. In fact, we're going to start there in just a moment. Guest lineup tonight looks like this. At the top of the 9 o'clock hour, Dalton Miller, NFL draft analyst. I've had Dalton on for years. Dalton's a unique cat because he actually lives in Portugal, believe it or not. He lived here stateside for many years, now resides in Portugal, but he's still really active as an NFL draft analyst, has been with many publications, has done it for a long time. So we're going to talk with Dalton about Mason Graham, about Ashton Genty, about Jalen Walker, how the top 4 picks he thinks is going to work itself out. A deep dive into the draft with Dalton Miller, NFL draft analyst. That comes up towards the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, Will Miles, readandreaction.com. He's also a part of the Gators Breakdown podcast, as we will certainly look at Florida's spring game tomorrow over in Gainesville. Originally, I was going to start with the Florida spring game, and then something very interesting took place a couple of hours ago, and that is where we are going to begin, because every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal? No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Nico Iamaleava. I'll refer to him now as Nico, the quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers. You know, in this new world of college athletics, we have free agency, right? That's all the transfer portal is free agency. We essentially have contracts. That's what NIL is, contracts. But up until now, we've never really had a holdout in collegiate athletics like you have in the pros, obviously. And now comes the Nico Iamaleava story in Knoxville, Tennessee. For those of you that have missed this, Nico, the quarterback of the Volunteers, who was a big part of Tennessee making the college football playoff last year, did not go to practice today in Knoxville, which kind of raised some eyebrows. And then some reporting came out. Now, depending on what you believe or who you want to believe or what reports you read, there are a lot of different things circulating. In fact, I think, Denmark, we have the Jimmy Himes cut in our system somewhere. He was on with Frangie earlier. We're going to play that in just a moment. Long story short, and I got a lot of thoughts on this, Nico, or I guess better said, Nico's representation, reportedly wanted to, I guess, renegotiate the NIL deal that Tennessee has for their quarterback. The Volunteers reportedly did not think there was a need for a renegotiation. And thus, Nico did not go to practice today. And if you listen to some people, including Jimmy Himes, a very well-connected, well-respected former sports writer, sports radio host in Knoxville that Frank Frangie has had on for years, he joined Frangie earlier today here on 1010XL, and he thinks the Nico era in Tennessee is going to be over in a couple of days.
So I think you've got a very greedy dad in a very greedy situation, and Tennessee's not buckling it. I don't blame them. And not only that, it's going to disrupt what you can pay other people if you tear that contract up. So the sources I've got have told me he's gone. It's done.
Wow.
He will never play at Tennessee again. He's going to enter the transfer portal April the 16th. I was told there was a team meeting and the players voted not to have him return.
Wow.
They're tired of this. And even though most everybody over there will tell you he's a pretty good kid,
yeah,
they don't want to put up with this.
It's gone. He's done. I believe he enters the portal April 16th. This is the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers, a starting quarterback that led the Volunteers again to the college football playoff this past season. All right, a lot of thoughts on this. Let me again just break it down for you really quick. Reportedly, now that's very important for me to mention. Reportedly, Nico was making between $2.2 and $2.5 million with NIL. Nico's camp, or according to Jimmy Himes, maybe his father, somebody in Nico's inner circle went to Tennessee and said, yeah, that's nice, but we want to be closer to the $4 million range. They basically wanted to renegotiate his NIL that they had agreed to. Tennessee said, no, we're not doing that. Nico did not go to practice today, and now there are reports coming out, including from Jimmy Himes, that you just heard, that Nico's likely gone on April 16th into the portal. Wild. Do you know how many people in the college football and college athletics landscape are watching this story in Knoxville with Nico Iamaleava? Do you know how many people have a vested interest in what's going on here? Because if Tennessee caves in, amidst the reports that Nico's camp wants more money in NIL that was previously agreed to, if Tennessee caves in and says, okay, yeah, I guess we'll do that, how many players on how many teams are going to see that and say, well, wait a minute, maybe I want to renegotiate now as well? In Tennessee's own roster, if the quarterback gets what he wants, then will the wide receiver or the offensive tackle or the linebacker or the defensive end go ask for what they want? More and more and more and more and more. That's the world we're in. That's where we are. We have holdouts in college football. That's essentially what this Nico situation is turning into in Knoxville. It's a holdout. Will Tennessee buckle? Will Nico transfer? Craziness. And again, I say, if Nico gets what he wants, or not Nico, but if Nico's camp, reportedly his camp, his reps, if they get what they want and Tennessee caves in and gives more money, how many players on how many campuses in the next couple of days, weeks, months are going to take this same approach? We've just never seen anything like this to this point with NIL. Ironically, you saw it a little bit with Jaden Rashada in Gainesville, but he never actually played a game with Florida. So it's different in that scenario, obviously. Nico not only played a game, but was the quarterback of the Volunteers who went to the college football playoff last year. Is he worth more money? Who knows? It's not for me to say. But apparently his camp believes he's worth more money. And Tennessee to this point is saying, no, we're not doing that. And so Nico said, well, all right, I'm not going to go to practice. And I can just enter the portal to April 16th and go somewhere else. It's what college athletics has turned into at this point, man. It is craziness. I'm all for the players getting paid, getting compensation. They deserve that. Way, way, way too many years went by. But with that, with the portal, with NIL, with all of that, now we have this. A holdout in college football of a quarterback that was one of the 12 quarterbacks in the college football playoff just a year ago. And if he gets what he wants and Tennessee pays out the money, what will that mean for other schools and their star players moving forward? Huge implications for what Tennessee does here. And if Nico leaves in the spring portal, he can't go to an SEC school. That's the one rule. I didn't realize that, honestly, until earlier this afternoon. So Nico can transfer out, and he can go to Ohio State or Oregon or Colorado or wherever. He's from the West Coast. But he cannot transfer to anywhere inside the Southeastern Conference in the spring portal. Denmark, you're a college football guy, man. You love the game. We have a holdout in college football. What's your thought?
Surprised that hasn't happened sooner. I mean, Matt Hayes, right after the national title game, hit on over and over again. Guys like Jeremiah Smith, their market is insanely high. Why not hit the portal and see what your market is and see if Ohio State can match it? I know we've never seen it, but I'm surprised no one else has done it yet.
Well, according to Jimmy Himes, to your point, according to Jimmy Himes, now, again, I want to be careful here because this is a local kid, but we had Jimmy on the Frangie show earlier, Jimmy based up in Knoxville. He said on our air that Nico's reps cited the $4 million mark that Carson Beck got from Miami. And that's why they went to the $4 million mark. That Nico was only making between 2.2 and 2.5. Beck got reportedly $4 million from the Hurricanes, and that's why that $4 million number came out. So, yeah, I mean, these kids all know what each other's getting. And to your point, Denmark, I agree with you. I'm kind of surprised it took a couple of years before somebody basically tried to hold a team hostage, which essentially is what Nico and his reps are trying to do, is it not?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's surprising that this hasn't happened sooner. I mean, there's no rules. The NCAA said, okay, you can do this now, and then they just leave, and then things like this happen. I'm surprised it's taken 4 years.
At some point, you got to relegate it, or not regulate it is the verbiage I'm using. Regulate it. And I'm not exactly sure how to do that. People smarter than me will have to figure that out. But I don't like how you can transfer from one school to another school to another school to another school every year. The money is outrageous. When I wanted these guys to get compensated, I'm not sure if you need to be making $4, $5, $6 million a year. And then you have situations like this, which again is going to be a domino effect. You want to talk about a domino effect on how this plays out in Knoxville. This will affect every major university in college athletics. Because if Tennessee gives in to the demands, well, then every player is going to come knocking at their respective, campus's door, their coach's door, their rep's door, and says, well, I want more money now too. It is going to be fascinating to see what happens. And again, Nico can enter the portal on April 16th. He just can't go to an SEC school under that circumstance. Let's talk about actual football on the field. The Gators have a spring game tomorrow. You won't see DJ Lagway much at all. Obviously, there's a lot of news surrounding that, a lot of questions surrounding that. But what are we looking for? What are we hoping to see? Will Miles does a terrific job with readandreaction.com. He's also part of the Gators Breakdown podcast. Let's preview the orange and blue game, and let's do it next. It's a Friday night in Jacksonville, Florida, with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Every game is a story.
And the game is tied.
Every play is a moment waiting to happen.
We're going to overtime.
Your home for the most play-by-play is 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight, but it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
Or you could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Put the ball in the net with 60 minutes of soccer talk. The Coaches Show presented by Sporting Jacks. Cole Pepper, Sporting Jacks head of soccer Mark Warburton, and Sporting Jacks women's coach Stacey Ballard. Tuesday evenings at 6 on 1010 a.m.
Need or want cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Ackerman Cancer Center, celebrating 10 years of excellence in cancer screening, diagnosis, and treatment. Always accepting new patients and 99% of all insurances. Call now to schedule a new consultation within 48 hours. Learn more at ackermancancercenter.com.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Hey guys, it's that time of year again. The home team is looking for new players on the field, and you're looking to get that old car or truck out of your driveway. I can help. This is John Johnson over at First Coast Recycling. We buy junk cars. Draft us to buy your old car or truck for fast cash. Just call 904-294-1659 for a quick and easy quote from First Coast Recyclers. Come on, let's take your driveway back.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
when was the first cruise ship voyage?
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The first cruise cruise voyage was on the Princess and Victoria Louise, which set sail on her maiden voyage in January of 1901.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
A chipped windshield can turn into a big problem fast. Lauren Brooks here. Trust Novus Glass of Jacksonville for expert repair and replacement. Call 904-289-2905 for Novus Glass in Orange Park. 904-289-2905.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Florida Spring Game takes place this Saturday in Gainesville as Billy Napier and his staff wrap up their fourth spring on the job. Of course, Saturday as well, they will have a championship celebration for the Gator basketball team as Gainesville is still living in the euphoria of the Gators' third basketball national title. Will Miles, readandreaction.com. He's also a part of the Gators Breakdown podcast. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Will, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
Doing well. It's always fun when the spring game comes. Things start to ramp up, and from here it's just a few months until everything kicks off in the fall.
There's no doubt you're a football guy, but I can't have you on without at least getting a thought from you on the basketball program and their third national championship on Monday night. Will, what were your thoughts when you watched that go down?
I mean, my thoughts were it was very similar to the 2006 football team where a lot of stuff had to go right in order for Florida to win the game. I mean, not just the game against Houston, but the game against Texas A&M, even the game against UConn. A lot of stuff had to go right. And so, that probably ought to scare teams in the SEC and in the country, because if Todd Golden can leverage this in the same way Urban Meyer did from 2006 to 2008, Florida was a juggernaut in those latter years of the Meyer era. And there's a potential for Golden to build that on the basketball court too. So not just the championship, but the excitement around the fact of what you can build in a youthful coach and a youthful program moving forward. It's not like if Kelvin Sampson, when he's 69, how much longer he's going to be there. Todd Golden's 39. The only thing that Gator fans probably have to fear at that point is the NBA.
Yeah, dare I say it feels a little Billy Donovan-esque, does it not? And hopefully lightning strikes twice with Florida. I mean, Donovan's got his name on the court for crying out loud. It is interesting. Golden did not have an NCAA tournament win 3.5 weeks ago, and now he's got 6 of them and a basketball national championship. And amidst the basketball run, Will, spring football has been very much under the radar, I guess, with the one caveat being the uncertainty surrounding DJ Lagway and why he's not fully participating in drills and things of that sort. I don't want to get into, things that I personally don't know about, but what's your take on Lagway, and what are your thoughts on him moving forward into the summer and into fall camp?
I mean, my take on Lagway is that if healthy, he's probably the best or second best quarterback in the conference. And whenever you got that guy going into a season, you should be really excited about what can happen. Now, what that does mean, though, is the defensive improvement is going to have to come along with it. Because if you think about a couple of years ago with Jaden Daniels at LSU, that guy was head and shoulders above everybody, and the Tigers still went 10-3. So as much as we're going to put, and as much as Billy Napier is going to put on DJ Lagway's shoulders, they're going to have to put some on the defense and some on the offensive line, and they're going to have to spread out some of that pressure across the entire team. And look, I mean, irrespective of whether Lagway is completely healthy, teams that win championships tend to have a guy who can step in and at least man the command for a game or two, just because of how physical the sport is these days. And so, does Florida have that in Harrison Bailey? Do they have that in Aiden Warner now that he's gotten a couple of starts under his belt? Honestly, that's probably the stuff I'm looking for in the spring game more than what would Lagway do. We know what Lagway can do at this point. He's got some areas to improve on, but if healthy, we know what he can do. Obviously, the health is the concern, and so Florida and Billy Napier are going to have to be ready to get the backup going. I think that's probably what we'll see in the spring game this week.
Will Miles, readandreaction.com. Will, let's go quickly position by position. Offensive line-wise, 4 starters return. I thought it was enormous that both Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber came back. I mean, those guys would be getting drafted in 2 weeks in the mid-to-late rounds of the NFL draft, and Florida got both of them back. What's your take on the offensive line heading into the year?
And my take on the offensive line is they've got some real solid backups too. So not just the fact that they've got the 4 starters coming back, but guys like Devon Manuel, Roderick Kearney, Bryce Lovett played last year and played well. And then they got a couple of high-level guys. You got redshirt freshman Fletcher Westfall, and then you've got redshirt freshman Jason Zandamello. Those are 2 of the highest-ranked recruits that Florida's brought into the offensive line for a while. So when you think about where they are set up to protect DJ Lagway, and if he does, if he's got a tender shoulder, are they going to be able to keep him from being knocked on the ground? I think Florida is in a position to be able to do that, and a position to rely on the running game, which is not necessarily something they've been able to do in the Billy Napier era. You go back to Dan Mullen, they were always able to run the ball. That has been a challenge, especially against better teams. And so that's the hope, right? Is that you can sustain an injury or two and still be okay. And in the SEC schedules, and considering Florida's schedule, how difficult it is for the second year in a row, I think having numbers there might even be more important than having outstanding players. But certainly Slaughter and Barber coming back is important, both from a depth perspective, but also from a performance one.
You look at the running back room, Will. Montrell Johnson is gone, but it's Jaden Baugh's time, it looks like, in Gainesville. However, there are some very solid options outside of Jaden Baugh. That running back room looks pretty deep this year.
Yeah, I mean, last year, outside of the fumble against Texas, Jacoby Jackson was excellent and had similar numbers of carries to Baugh, similar PFF ratings, similar yards per attempt. So, Baugh, I think, because of the 4 or 5 touchdowns he had in the one game against Kentucky, got a lot of the shine, but Jackson was able to contribute a lot as well. Certainly Jackson is the upperclassman. He's the redshirt senior, and you've got Baugh, who's the sophomore. So you figure the sophomore is going to get his carries. But one of the interesting things about Florida is that, and especially under Billy Napier, they've always split carries. And it's a position where you tend to get injuries. And so even Trayon Webb coming back as the 3rd string running back, KD Daniels is a redshirt freshman as well in that room. They've got solid depth, even if they have an injury. But certainly I think Baugh showed some flashes, especially when you think about what he was able to do against LSU and some game-breaking stuff that some of the other guys don't have. But they're pretty solid in that room. I think from an offensive perspective, Florida's in pretty good shape, assuming that Lagway's healthy.
Gator spring game on Saturday. We got Will Miles, readandreaction.com, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Will, the wide receiver room, there's a ton of potential, but a lot of questions. You get Trey Wilson coming back from injury. You got those all-world freshmen that have arrived on campus, from Dallas Wilson to Verdell Brown. Nashawn Montgomery's a guy that I don't think people know about yet. I get the feeling they will know about him sooner rather than later. What's your thought on the wide receiver room and the tight end room for that matter?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago when I was looking at how often do true freshmen contribute, it really sort of came down to stacking depth. That if you had 3 or 4 guys come in who were relatively high level, you typically had one guy who delivered. And so that was before the season where Eugene Wilson really sort of came into his own in the wide receiver room. I think you're probably looking at the same thing this year. Like, I don't think you're going to get 20 catches from Dallas Wilson and 20 catches from Verdell Brown and 20 catches from somebody else in the freshman class. I think you're probably looking at 30 or 40 from one guy. And the other guys are sort of going to be spot folks. I think the real question for Florida is going to be guys like Tank Hawkins, guys like TJ Abrams, even guys like Aiden Mizell, who've shown flashes. Can they be consistent? I think we kind of know what we're going to get with J. Michael Sturdivant. I think we know if he can stay healthy what we're going to get from Trey Wilson. The question is going to be, what else does Florida have in the tank? And, a couple of years ago, Khalil Jackson was that 3rd wide receiver. If he's in and they had Taylor Spirito in there as well. Those guys still on the roster, but if those guys are major contributors, then that says something about the younger guys being able to step up. So I expect to see probably 25, 30 catches from one of the freshman wide receiver. And then I expect, honestly, Hawkins is the guy I'm looking at and saying, I think he's got the skill set, the speed, and, the pedigree to be able to step up and be a major weapon in Billy Napier's offense.
Will, as we shift gears to the defensive side of the ball, look, there was some attrition, right? Shamar James to the draft, Cam Jackson to the draft, Pyburn and Searcy to the portal. There were some issues in the front 7, but there's still an awful lot of good players in the front 7 as well. What's your take on the front 7 of the Gator defense?
Well, so it's interesting. If you look at Florida's wins last year, they had a 25% havoc rate. So that's causing an interception, a PBU, a tackle for loss, or a sack. So 25% of the plays, they had a havoc rate in their wins, and it was 12% in their losses. And that almost always came from the front seven. So guys like Sapp and Banks, and those were the two guys who were really driving it. And those are the two guys who were back. And so, who's going to be the jack? Is it going to be George Gums? Are you going to have a guy like LJ McRae step up? Those are all open questions, but I think it sort of starts and ends with, or certainly starts with Sapp and Banks, who were both excellent last year. So keeping those guys healthy. You get Jamari Lyons coming back from a knee injury. DeAndre Robinson as well, sort of sliding into that nose tackle role now that Desmond Watson is gone. So there's obviously a lot of new names and new faces there, but Sapp was an absolute beast last year. One of the reasons Banks was able to really improve is that Sapp was demanding double teams, and that's something we haven't seen in Gainesville for a while. A defensive lineman who could demand double teams. His ability to demand those double teams freed up some of those guys on the inside, Banks specifically, and we saw that really come to fruition against LSU and against Ole Miss. So I think on the defensive line they'll be okay with the guys they have to slide in there, assuming that Sapp and Banks stay healthy. I think if one of those guys goes down, now you're sort of back in the situation where they can double team the one difference maker, and someone else is going to have to step up to be a difference maker on there as well.
Yeah, I mentioned Slaughter and Barber on the O-line would have been drafted in a couple of weeks. Well, Sapp and Banks would have absolutely been drafted in a couple of weeks, and all four guys are back, which to me, the Florida Gators won the offseason with those four guys alone. That brings us to the secondary. Jason Marshall is gone. Certainly there was some attrition there. Some guys are back. What do you make of the secondary heading into the year?
I mean, I think it's a work in progress. Obviously, they brought in Michael Caraway Jr. as a transfer, and at corner, Dijon Johnson got a lot of play last year. It was sort of up and down at different times. You had Drake Stubbs coming in as a freshman. Is he going to be able to contribute? I think the guy you probably look at, well, there's two guys I probably look at in the secondary. One's Devin Moore, who's been outstanding when he's been able to play, but just hasn't been able to play very much. And then Cormani McClain, the five-star guy who went to Colorado and then came back last year. If McClain can step into a role where he can be a shutdown corner, or Moore can step into a role where he can be a shutdown corner, well, all of a sudden the Florida defense can do more. The issue that they had early in the season last year is anytime they tried to do anything that was even unique or tried to disguise anything, their secondary just couldn't hold up, and their linebackers weren't good enough against the run game to keep things to a minimum. And so what they did was they went really, really simple in the second half of the year and just said, hey, like, if you could beat us on this, we'll let you do it. And in the Ole Miss game, it was a lot of bend but don't break. They had a couple of fourth down stops, certainly played well in that one. But even if you think about the LSU game, it was a lot of first downs. LSU was on the field the entire game I think they ran like 92, 93 plays. So to me, the question is going to be, can the secondary be more aggressive? And that's going to come with one of those guys stepping up at corner, whether it's Caraway, whether it's McClain, whether it's Moore. I think those are the guys who have the pedigree to do it. Or maybe a guy like Stubbs comes in as a true freshman and just, blows everybody away and can get some playing time. But to me, it'd be those three, Moore, McClain, and Caraway.
Final moments, Will Miles, readandreaction.com. Will, we got about 90 seconds. I believe I asked you this question last year, but I think it also applies to this year. I said a year ago that was Billy Napier's best roster coming in to his third year. I believe this year is Billy Napier's best roster on paper, now coming into year 4. Will that translate in the win-loss column? I don't know. That schedule's tough, but your overview, thoughts here in April, 4.5 months away from the season, on how good you think this Gator team may or may not be.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. So last year, nobody had any illusions that Florida was going to be making a playoff run or anything like that. I think there's hope coming into this year, especially with DJ Lagway, that they had that in them. Lagway's going to have to make some major steps forward, especially when the teams drop into deep zone coverage, and he has to either drop the ball off underneath or make a decision to run. And certainly he'll be able to run a little bit more this year, hopefully with a hamstring that's healthy when it wasn't last year. The interesting thing is that with Sapp and Banks coming back, you sort of think of this as a 2-year window with DJ Lagway before he's ready to go to the pros. But with Sapp and Banks coming back, this is really the shot, right? The defense should have the ammunition that it needs to improve. And if you've got an improved defense with Lagway at quarterback, irrespective of the parts around it, you should be anticipating a team that's competing for a playoff berth later in the season. I think at a minimum, just competing for a playoff berth is really sort of necessary. And honestly, I think if they don't get a playoff berth, it's a real missed opportunity because there's going to have to be a lot of work done either in development or the transfer portal will be ready for 2026. So, Napier 2025 is really a key year for him. He's going to need to obviously make sure Lagway's healthy and then get what he can out of those guys who came back on defense to get Florida where they want to go.
We'll tell the Gator fans here in Jacksonville, man, readandreaction.com, what they can look forward to when they head on over to the website.
Yeah, so we do film breakdowns. We do sort of higher level pieces too. Sometimes talking about life. But we put out a preseason magazine every year. It's a hard copy thing you can buy that comes out in May, just in time for Father's Day, and sort of breaks down the team, what we think is going to happen, all that sort of stuff. So if you head over there, you can get information on that, or if you just want to read about the Gators, we post stuff up there as well.
Will Miles, readandreaction.com. Will, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, pal.
All right, appreciate it.
Now, a Masters update on 1010XL, brought to you by TopDressing.com and St. John's Middle School Athletic Association.
From the Augusta National Golf Club, Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the Masters. I'm Ted Emmerich. Rory McIlroy forcing his way back into contention on a windy Friday afternoon. McIlroy flashing determination after the 2 double bogeys late Thursday. He posted a 6-under 66. Rory is 6-under overall and 2 off the lead.
I was so frustrated last night because I played so well, and you can make these big numbers from absolutely nowhere. On this golf course, just like the most benign position. So it was a good reminder last night that you just really have to have your wits about you on every single golf shot. And then today, when the second shot was in the air, it was a little touch and go. Even where the ball finished, like sort of on the slope, I was thinking of running just to mark it to make sure it wasn't going to run back down the hill.
And yet it did not run down the hill. McIlroy made par there. He was bogey-free today. Birdies at 2, 10, 11, an eagle at 13, and another birdie at 15. Justin Rose leads at 8 under par. You're listening to coverage of the 2025 Masters on Westwood One.
Every day when we're on the road, people around us endanger themselves and others by looking at their phones while driving. There's the sneak-a-peeker who darts their eyes between the road and their texts, or the nightlighter who illuminates their car after dark. If that's you, reconsider before you find yourself becoming the fender-benderer, the got-a-ticketer, or worst of all, the driver who killed someone. Put the phone away, or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bernhard Langer's time as a Masters competitor comes to an end. The 67-year-old legend was in the running to make the cut before a double bogey at 15 and a bogey at 18. At 3 over par, he missed the weekend by a stroke. Langer's first Masters was in 1982. He said this would be his 41st and final Masters. Justin Rose leads at his 20th career Masters after 2 rounds. The Englishman, who's been searching for a second major title for more than a decade, is 8 under. Bryson DeChambeau won back at 7 under. Rory McIlroy and Corey Connors 6 under, 2 off the pace. Scotty Scheffler endures 5 bogeys after a bogey-free first round, still shoots 1 under 71. Scheffler 5 under overall and 3 back. From Augusta, I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home this weekend at the newly renovated 5-Star Ballpark. Join us tonight for fireworks and tomorrow at 6:35 for more fireworks, presented by Ascension St. Vincent's. The first 2,000 fans through the main gate Saturday get a free Bluetooth speaker. Free face painting before the game on Baptist Health Sunday Family Fun Day at 3:05. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets.
Sometimes you agree with him, sometimes you don't.
On the runway, I'm coming in hot.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Leon Cersei here. Let's be real. I used to eat like a lineman because I was one. And man, those habits are hard to break. I needed help to stop with the munchies and lose weight. But now, I'm bringing sexy back. I call Physician Guided Weight Loss. Their medical team is helping me shed pounds safely with a custom plan to help me slim down. And their firm pricing means same price every month. Hey, you want to bring sexy back? Visit Physician Guided Weight Loss at pgweightloss.com.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
15 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour. Glad you're with us to close out the week. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Yeah, that Nico story up in Knoxville, just wild, man. We'll see how it plays out. But regardless of what happens either way, if he ends up transferring out or if he gets more money after essentially doing a holdout because his reps want more NIL for him, that will have a lasting impact on what some bigger programs have to do with their star players moving forward in the world of college football. We'll get into the world of the NFL coming up here in less than 15 minutes. My buddy Dalton Miller, an NFL draft analyst. I've had Dalton on for years. He's very good at what he does. He's got an NFL draft podcast that he puts out a couple of times a week. We'll talk Mason Graham, Jalen Walker, Ashton Genty, among others, with Dalton Miller. That comes up in less than 15 minutes. Couple of NFL interesting news and notes today. Number one, did you see this news coming out of New Orleans this evening? Apparently, Derek Carr might need shoulder surgery, which could cost Derek Carr a majority, if not the entirety, of the 2025 season. And at Derek Carr's age, who really knows if he would come back at that point? I don't know when the shoulder injury occurred, why it wouldn't have been mentioned until now. I mean, the New Orleans Saints have not played a game in 3+ months. But that obviously is interesting because the NFL draft is 13 days away, and the New Orleans Saints hold the 9th overall pick in round number 1. Now, look, I think the first 4 picks for the Jaguars are not going to work out well because I firmly believe it's going to be Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter in some order. And then at number 4, I don't know what New England's going to do. They could go Mason Graham. They could go Will Campbell. But I'm assuming Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and either Campbell or Graham are gone before the Jaguars pick. And if it plays out that way, then you have to kind of reassess a little bit. Do you take whoever the Patriots didn't between Will Campbell and Mason Graham? Do you take or even have a consideration for Armand Membo or a Jalen Walker or an Ashton Genty, which I'll get to in a moment? Or do you try to trade out of there? And if you tried to trade out of there, obviously it takes 2 to tango. I don't think New Orleans would need to come up, though, to get Shedeur Sanders. He's probably going to be there at 9. But if New Orleans, just for the sake of being able to rest easy for those 30 to 45 minutes, wants to give you number 9 and throw in, whatever, a 4th and a 6th or whatever, would you contemplate doing that? Probably take a little more than that. I don't think Jackson would move back for that, but you know what I mean. Maybe not what you would get normally, but if there's no one for you to pick at 5 or if you want to move out, would you take a tad less than maybe some others would? Because I think at 9, you could potentially get Tyler Warren or Ashton Genty, maybe Jalen Walker, maybe Armand Membo. The point is you could get most of the guys at 9 that you might be considering at 5 with the possible exception of Mason Graham. Now, if Mason Graham's your guy, then you stay there at 5 and you take him. Maybe we're all overthinking this thing. Back to Ashton Genty for a moment. Denmark, do you like Genty as a pro prospect?
Oh, yeah.
How much? Do you think he's going to be good, really good?
I think he'll be pretty good. If he goes to the Patriots, I think he'll be that's the best fit of anybody in the top 10.
I hear people, as we get closer to the draft, raving about this guy. Saquon Barkley tendencies in Ashton Genty. Best running back prospect since Bijan Robinson. I mean, when you start hearing that, and with the knowledge that Travis Etienne is likely coming into his final year in Jacksonville, And Tank Bigsby's got 2 years left on a rookie deal, and that's basically it, right? Dearness Johnson's gone. They got Keelan Robinson, who you saw nothing from last year due to injury, but he's basically a return guy. There hypothetically is a need at running back, right, with Ashton Genty. I wouldn't do it. But when I hear guys like Pete Prisco and other NFL analysts tell me that they believe Genty is the third best player in this draft behind Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, makes you wonder a little bit, right? Considering you know what Liam Cohen thinks about the running game. You know how much Trevor Lawrence needs a running game. We've talked about that the entire offseason. Now you can say, well, you need an offensive line to do that. Well, yeah, you do. But look, I mean, nothing against Travis Etienne. He's done some fine stuff here, but Travis Etienne's, he's frustrating to watch at times. He tends to dance maybe a little too much. He goes down on initial contact a little too much. I like Bigsby, but is Bigsby your answer if Etienne departs after 2025? And if Genty is sitting there at 5, again, Denmark, I don't think they would do it, but I don't necessarily, I used to think that was crazy talk maybe a month ago. I don't think it's crazy talk. It may be wild talk, but I don't think that's crazy anymore to envision a scenario where Ashton Genty could potentially be the pick.
No, and especially this draft. I mean, we've heard so many stories that there's not much of a difference between 15 and 50. There's some people, the draft experts, that have a first-round grade on like 10 to 12 guys. So if you believe that, you know, the order Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter in some sort, and then Ashton Genty is right behind them, and you're not high on a lot of other guys, it's not too wild to think. And if you're not high on Etienne or Bigsby, and you're Liam Cohen, you value the run game, and you saw what he did with a 4th-round pick in Bucky Irvin a year ago, it's not too wild.
I know we got to go quick here, but Jalen Walker's the same thing. You look at the Jaguar linebacker room. They didn't pick up the 5th-year option on Devin Lloyd, probably won't, meaning he's likely gone. That's the Andre Sisco situation from a year ago. You don't pick up that option, means they're likely gone. Then you look around, Foye Oluokun, good player, not getting any younger. Chad Muma has never really lived up to expectation. Ventrell Miller is good against the run. They got needs a linebacker. Jalen Walker could be an off-the-ball linebacker and a pass rush specialist on 3rd down. And I got Prisco earlier today telling me that maybe the 4th best player in the draft is Jalen Walker, behind Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, and Ashton Genty. Look, I think Mason Graham, if you had to give me a bunch of matchsticks to put in the middle of the table, who are the Jaguars taking if they stay at 5? If Mason Graham is there, I would still say he is the overwhelming favorite to be the pick. I'm just trying to point out some different scenarios here. And certainly a different scenario to me would be Ashton Genty, and I do believe a different scenario, albeit a realistic scenario, could potentially be Jalen Walker out of Georgia. Let's continue the draft conversation. My buddy Dalton Miller has been a draft analyst for years. Love talking ball with Dalton. He joins me next. Let's talk about all the scenarios I just laid out. Let's talk Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Let's do a deep dive into the draft. Dalton Miller joins me next on a Friday night. Here in Northeast Florida, it's Hacker After Dark.
Now, a Masters update on 1010XL, brought to you by TopDressing.com and St. John's Middle School Athletic Association.
From the Augusta National Golf Club, Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the Masters. I'm Ted Emmerich. Justin Rose, the outright leader halfway through the 89th Masters. Rose went out early today and carved out a 1 under 71 despite not having his best. He is 8 under for the week. He's got a 1-shot advantage.
I feel like when you're chasing, sometimes you make a few more mistakes because you're forcing the issue a little bit. So, yeah, I'm happy with my position. I'm happy with how I'm feeling up there, and I think playing two days with the lead makes the weekend feel a little bit easier in a way. So, tomorrow's going to be no different to today, and as you obviously inch towards Sunday, of course, the dream is on, but, there's going to come a point where you just have to hit the right shot at the right time and stand up and be counted. But until then, you just got to keep one foot in front of another.
Go ahead and add another British phrase, keep calm and carry on. This is now the 10th round Rose has led or co-led in his Masters career. That is the most by anyone without a green jacket. You're listening to coverage of the 2025 Masters on Westwood One.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Harbor Freight knows time is money, so for our Spring Black Friday sale, we're getting straight to the deals. Right now, you get 35% off jack stands, 56-inch roll caps under $800, and 2,300 PSI electric pressure washers under $190. See? Straight to the point, so you can get straight to the savings. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until April 13th, 2025 while supplies last. Limitations apply.
What a leaderboard after 2 rounds at Augusta National. Justin Rose, major champion, U.S. Open winner in 2013, leads at 8 under. He has a 1-shot lead over Bryson DeChambeau, who is at 7 under. By the way, DeChambeau, first time he has had multiple rounds in the 60s at the same Masters, goes back-to-back here with his 69 and 68 to start this tournament. Rory McIlroy punched back after Augusta hit him hard yesterday. McIlroy a 6 under 66, the round of the day. He's 6 under for the tournament, 2 back. Corey Connors is 6 under as well. Scotty Scheffler saving bogey at the last. He ends up in red numbers with a 1 under 71, 5 under overall, and 3 back. Matt McCarty, Shane Lowry, and Tyrrell Hatton also at 5 under par. Rasmus Højgaard, Victor Hovland, Jason Day -4. From Augusta, I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor, outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Prosser here. Spring has sprung, and it's a great time to sell your house, but only if you have the very best on your side, and those very best are Chad and Sandy Newman. Spring selling season's here. Rates are down. Activity's up. It's the best time in years to sell your home, in fact, but there are homes sitting on the market. They don't have the right representation. That's where Chad and Sandy step in. Maybe you're worried your home needs repairs or updating and it won't sell for a good price. Maybe your family's growing and you need more space. Whatever the reason that you need to sell your home, Chad and Sandy deliver this promise to you. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Sounds pretty hassle-free to me. Take it from Mike and Rosemary in St. Augustine. We were determined to buy an affordable home in a specific school zone, but we didn't qualify for the loan needed to get one. Chad and Sandy's team worked with the lender, negotiated a higher qualification price, lower interest. It was huge, $200 less per month. Do it today. Call 414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
Now you could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Enjoy a great day of golf and support Eagles View Academy Athletics. Friday, May 2nd at the newly renovated Bent Creek Golf Course. 8:30 shotgun start, best ball format. Find out more at evawarriorsathletics.com.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Jacksonville's summer heat is coming in fast. Is your AC ready to handle it, or will it quit on you on the hottest day of the year, leaving you sweating and stuck with a huge repair bill? Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Our expert techs will make recommendations to ensure your AC system is running in tip-top shape before the heat arrives. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning, duckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
I'm just going to cut to the chase. What you really want to know is, why buy from Arlington Toyota? Mia here. How about over 800 vehicles, one lot, 60-day exchange, and friendly credit for everyone. Plus, right now, you choose a pre-owned 2022 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for $0 down and only $388 per month. Or how about no payments till August 2025? Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter-mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Do you know someone looking for a fun and rewarding summer job? Join the YMCA team, gain valuable experience, and make a difference in kids' lives. Turn your passion for this community into a fulfilling career at the First Coast YMCA. Now hiring camp counselors, lifeguards, child care leaders, and membership experience team. Every single person on the dedicated YMCA staff plays a role in making the Y a welcoming and vital resource for our community. Find your career at the Y at fcymca.org.
Equal opportunity employer.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us, and all of a sudden you look on that calendar and we're roughly 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. 2 weeks from this Thursday in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Jaguars, of course, hold the 5th pick in round number 1. They have 10 draft picks overall, including 6 in the top 126 selections. Let's talk draft with a guy I've talked with the draft for years. My buddy Dalton Miller is an NFL draft analyst, and he always is kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Dalton, how we doing?
Fantastic. I'm back in sunny Portugal. I know that you guys down in Florida can appreciate a nice, sunny, hot weather. I was in Pennsylvania for too long. I was in the cold for too long. I needed to thaw out, and I am so glad to be back. And I am so excited for the NFL draft coming up here soon.
Yeah, you are an NFL draft guy. There is no question about that. And Dalton, you've covered it for years, man. So let me ask you, we're 2 weeks out. Most pro days are in the rearview mirror. If the teams needed to draft today, if Roger Goodell called and said, all right, we're moving it up 2+ weeks, the draft is tonight, are teams ready, or is final preparation still being made?
Oh, no, teams are absolutely ready. I think the only thing that you might have a little bit of feedback still on are guys with, I guess, questionable off-the-field stuff. Because when we get into the process, I mean, we have to understand that these teams are getting, former FBI agents to look these guys up. And sometimes it takes time to get all the information that you need. So that's why we kind of hear stuff very late in the process on some guys when it comes to some of the off-the-field stuff. And some of these teams might still be looking into, incidents that have happened over the years with some of the more high-profile guys to see if it's a green flag, a yellow flag, or a full-on red flag. So other than that side of it, the player evaluation side of things has been complete for a while now.
Obviously, the Jaguars with the 5th overall selection. We'll get to them in a moment. Let's focus on the top 4. Are you of the opinion that Cam Ward will be the number 1 pick to the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the betting lines recently, but I would honestly be shocked if it stays up much longer. Every indication, including getting rid of the invite for the private workout for Tennessee, it really seems like the Titans are locked into Cam Ward, and he will be the first pick in the NFL draft.
NFL draft analyst Dalton Miller with us here on 1010XL. From a Jacksonville perspective, we're certainly curious if Cam Ward goes to Tennessee. Dalton, them being an AFC South rival. What is your opinion of Cam Ward? Do you have a player comp for him, and how do you think he'll fare?
It's funny because Brian Callahan kind of wanted to cut his hair off and pull it out when he was coaching Will Levis and having him in. But there are a lot of similarities in their play style when it comes to having the bozo gene is something that I talk about with quarterbacks quite a bit, and even the greats have it, and some of the very greats need it to be that great. But there's a fine line that guys walk, and he very, very often steps over it. And then he also has a ton of fumbling issues. So he is going to need a long runway at the NFL level. Tennessee went out and tried to address their offensive line. They've tried to address it over the past couple of years. But at the end of the day, between the front office, the general manager, and the coaching staff, it's just a rotation of we're going to hire a GM, and then we're going to fire the head coach, and then we're going to fire the GM, and then we're going to fire the head coach. And there's just not been stability. And Cam Ward is a guy who is going to need that stability and going to need that runway to grow, because I don't think he's ready to start day one. I think he's, in a lot of ways, the same player he was 3 years ago when he was leaving Incarnate Word and going to Washington State for the first time. An absolutely phenomenal athlete with a rocket launcher arm who makes silly mistakes and trails off his level of play as the season progresses year in and year out. So that will be something to watch.
Now, when we get to picks 2 and 3 that currently Cleveland and the New York Giants possess, if obviously Cam Ward goes number 1, the question for a while was Shedeur Sanders in play for either one of those teams. As we get closer to the draft, Dalton, it appears Shedeur Sanders is not in play for either team. Is that your opinion as well?
Well, me and my podcast partner, Corey Kinnan, have done a couple of mock drafts recently. And after the New York Giants, it's really hard to find a spot for Shedeur Sanders. But you look at mock drafts still, and Mel Kiper and Daniel Jeremiah, they're still mocking him to New York. And so for me, I don't know how to kind of parse through what is just NFL draft narrative and prospect fatigue and what might be real. Because if it's real, we might not see him go until the 20s. And if it's not real, then he ends up going to New York. And honestly, with his personality, I think that he would be a perfect fit in New York, because I don't think there is a snowball's chance in where that he is going to let the New York media actually get to him, because he's a Sanders. He's Deion's son, and I don't think anything can get to him mentally. And you need that when you are dealing with the New York media. So I kind of think that he's purpose-built for that kind of environment. It just kind of comes down to whether you think he's good enough to warrant that selection. And at the end of the day, I think that he's good. And I think that he's good enough to be a franchise quarterback at the NFL level. The problem is, how high is his ceiling? The thing is, in the NFC, when you look at the ecosystem, the quarterback play in the AFC far, far outweighs what it is in the NFC. And the best in the NFC, for the most part, are going to be aging out soon. And so if you can build a roster around a quarterback who is going to be deadly accurate and is going to still grow into, NFL pockets and get a little bit better in that respect, I think that you can win with him as well. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens at 3.
Couple of more for NFL draft analyst Dalton Miller with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Dalton, the thought is we would love for Shedeur Sanders, by the way, to go in the top 4. That would help Jacksonville immensely. But I think the realization here is that the Jaguar fan base is looking at probably the worst-case scenario where Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are both gone, Cam Ward is gone, and then that brings us to 4, right? And then that scenario, assuming that Carter, Hunter, and Ward are the first 3, then all eyes are on New England and what would they do right in front of Jacksonville. And I guess the Will Campbell talk in New England's picking up in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Will Campbell, Armand Membao, it kind of seemed like they would end up being the selections for New England at that spot. And I think Will Campbell is as safe as a pick as you can get, because at the end of the day, even if he has a little bit of issues on the outside, I think that he's tailor-made to be a Brandon Scherf level guard at the NFL level, even if it doesn't work out at tackle. I think that his game translates very, very good to the interior. And I do think that he can be a very good left tackle as well. And so New England could definitely use that. They could also use an interior defensive lineman, and that takes away who I think should be and is kind of, circled in Sharpie for me with the Jaguars pick if Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are gone. And that is Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham. But yeah, I think at number 4, New England is probably going to look at Will Campbell at that slot.
Mason Graham, that brings me to him. Like every 20 mock drafts you see around right now, 15 plus have Mason Graham going to Jacksonville. And I don't doubt that the Jaguars are very interested. And I don't doubt that, the Jaguars would draft Mason Graham. But if history tells us anything, particularly with this franchise, regardless of who the GM is, man, I remember it was Brian Branch, and he was there and the Jaguars didn't go there. I remember Terry and Arnold last year. There was so many times that one singular guy has been mocked here and the Jaguars go in an opposite direction, that I don't know about the Mason Graham stuff, man, particularly when you look at all the needs on this roster. Why do you feel Mason Graham is a great fit here in Jacksonville?
Well, I think he's the best player on the board at that point, especially at a position that the Jacksonville Jaguars definitely need, because when you look at that, I think Davon Hamilton is a fantastic interior player when it comes to his ability to defend the run. I think he's fantastic. I loved him coming out of Ohio State as well. Mason Smith, for me, it can't start. He can't start on your football team yet. I think Mason Smith is one of the more gifted athletes at the position, but he still has a ton to learn at the position. And so if you can bring in somebody who is that, 300-pound guy, somebody who I have comped consistently to Jeffrey Simmons, and we saw, you guys know very well how disruptive Jeffrey Simmons has been for the Tennessee Titans over the years. And when you have some young quarterback play in your division, and if you have quarterback play in general, and Tom Brady has talked about this a lot, you can skirt pressure from the exterior. Arc rushers, you can step up in the pocket. Take away a quarterback's ability to step up in the pocket, and life gets really difficult for them. And if you have a guy who can bring interior pressure the way that Mason Graham does, and the one good thing about Mason Graham, even more than Jeffrey Simmons, is he has the violence in his hands, but he has ankle flexibility that you just do not see at that position. And it allows you to play a lot of defensive line games and allows you to get some of your bigger edge rushers or speedier edge rushers on the interior against some guards using them on twists and stunts. So for me, Mason Graham makes a ton of sense for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Final moments, NFL draft analyst Dalton Miller. I'll tell you a guy that I don't know if Jacksonville will go this direction, but when you listen to James Gladstone, the new GM here, he's always talking about intangibles, right? We want to find guys that are intangibly rich to bring into this ecosystem is how he describes it. And by the way, I love hearing James Gladstone talk. I think I learn something new every time I hear that guy at a press conference. And I look just to the north of us, Dalton, and I look at a guy like Jalen Walker. All right, and Jalen Walker is a guy guy that's on the edge, can also play linebacker, 6'1", 245, 250. Everybody in Athens, Georgia, raves about this guy. I mean, I remember I heard the story where he's like the best player on their defense. He goes to Kirby Smart when they're struggling on kickoff coverage last year and essentially says, put me on the expletive kicking team, because he knew they were struggling. And you just, the leadership, the intangibly rich aspect. I don't know if Jacksonville's going to go that route, but that wouldn't shock me. What's your opinion on him?
One of the two guys, him and Travis Hunter, who I have heard nothing but unbelievable things about when it comes to their intangibles. So, yes, from an intangible perspective, absolutely. From an on-field perspective, he is one of the most terrifying prospects I've ever watched. Because as a linebacker, you never see him actually drop back into coverage. And as an edge rusher, there is a lot to be learned as an edge rusher still for him. And a lot of his wins, a lot of his sacks, a lot of his pressures actually come from the linebacker position as a spy. And it's because of his unbelievable closing speed. It's not quite Micah Parsons, like teleportation style, but it is very close to that. Quarterbacks are not going to be able to get out to the outside on him and outrun him in that way. And so you have to wonder, what is he going to be at the next level? How are you going to use him? Can you get him in a Frankie Louvu type of role? Because if you can, that's, I think, where he's going to be best utilized. Or like a year one Micah Parsons role, where he played a little bit off ball and a little bit of edge on obvious pass rushing downs. You can use him on the interior as a blitzer as well. Just for me, at pick 5, it's just a little bit rich. It's just a little bit rich for me. But in an edge class that outside of Abdul Carter doesn't have an absolute stud, it might be worth the gamble for him if they really want an edge presence.
Dalton, as we wrap up, look, the Jaguars could go so many different directions, but it's not just the number 5 overall pick. They got 6 picks in the top 126, 10 picks overall as it stands right now. And I've heard from a lot of people that say, look, prospect number 20 and prospect number 80, there's not a gigantic difference in this draft class. Do you agree with that? That it's after, the first 10 or 15 guys, the next 20, 30 to 40 prospects, they're similar?
Yeah, I think it's more from 16 or so to 50. After that, I think that it starts to fall off a little bit more in most positions. Running back is one where I think in the 4th or 5th round, you might be able to find a high-level starter at some point. It's just ridiculous. Tight end has some depth as well, but the Jacksonville went out and kind of addressed their tight end needs-ish. I think when you look at it, having a lot of darts to throw in this class is the way to go. And Jacksonville has set themselves up well to throw a lot of darts at team needs here. Specifically for me, throw some darts at the defensive backfield on young guys, because you went out and you got help, but you got older help.
Yeah, with Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray, no doubt about that. And look, 10 free agents the Jaguars brought in. They're the only team that didn't re-sign any of their own guys. I think that goes to show you what Liam Cohen and James Gladstone thought of the job that Trent Baalke did here. And the Jaguars do have 21 draft picks over the next 2 drafts. So it's a rebuild here in Jacksonville, but it could potentially be a quick rebuild.
Yeah, I think it's more of a retooling, and I really like what they did with the offensive line, because not only did they go out and get guys who they paid as starters, but they brought in Chuma Edoga as well as a little bit of depth. And so for that, I kind of applaud them for looking at the offensive line, understanding it was not good enough, and trying to fix that side of things.
Dalton, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the podcast, man, and where they can find it.
Yeah, you can find the Daft on Draft podcast on YouTube. You can find it on Daft on Draft, the Substack that my buddy Corey Kinnan runs. And yeah, you can find a little bit of my football stuff online. I'm not as much on X or on Blue Sky anymore. But, I'm just kind of relaxing a little bit after putting my all into this draft class.
Dalton Miller, NFL draft analyst. Dalton, always appreciate the time. Let's hopefully get back together after the draft, and we'll see how the Jaguars fared in a couple of weeks up there in Green Bay. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Get Florida Gators play-by-play on 1010XL.
The Gators spring football game is Saturday afternoon at 1 on 1010 a.m.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
If you'd like to help support domestic violence victims, you can get involved in the Par for a Purpose golf tournament, hosted by Micah's Place at the Golf Club of Amelia Island on June 20th. Register and learn more at micahsplace.org/golf.
The Tom Coughlin J Fund helps families battling childhood cancer, and there are ways you can help. Go to tcjfund.org.
If you're a dog lover who wants to help animals, our furry friends need exercise and time out of their kennels. You can make a difference in a dog's life at volunteer@jackshumane.org.
Military veterans have always protected us, and in Jacksonville, thousands of our veterans suffer from mental wounds like PTSD. Now it's time to return the favor. Learn how you can help at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
I've been having knee problems for probably 6 months, and my knee was getting worse, and I had heard about Southeast Orthopedics on the radio, and I gave them a call. They got me right in. Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. It was painless, and it's been doing fantastic. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Get to know positions and players. The 1010XL Ultimate Draft Guide is brought to you by Blue Haven Pools, the #1 pool builder in Jacksonville. Follow rankings and roundtables as the draft takes shape. Go to 1010XL.com/2025 draft guide to get yours.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is John Johnson with First Coast Recycling. We buy junk cars. If you have a car or a truck that you're looking to get rid of, then look no further. If you absolutely, positively have to get that car out of there, accept no substitutes. Fast cash is at your fingertips. Just call First Coast Recycling at 904-294-1659 today for a quick and easy quote. Come on, let's take your driveway back.
It's heating up at Ride Now Jacksonville. Get water adventure ready with the 2024 Yamaha AR195 boat. With its supercharged engine, innovative design, and water sports features, the Yamaha AR195 is ready for anything you throw at it. Originally $46,000, now just $36,000. Oversized in-floor storage for wakeboards and extra gear, deck and hull design that maximizes space, comfort, and versatility like no other 19-foot boat. Ride Now Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. We'll meet or beat any price on all 2024 and prior models.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway for all your outdoor living needs. Let them show you how a durable paver driveway can enhance your home. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home this weekend at the newly renovated ViStar Ballpark. Join us tonight for fireworks and tomorrow at 6:35 for more fireworks. Presented by Ascension St. Vincent's. The first 2,000 fans through the main gate Saturday get a free Bluetooth speaker. Free face painting before the game on Baptist Health Sunday Family Fun Day at 3:05. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets.
The magical basketball ride continues for Gators fans this weekend, and now you can remember all 34 Gators wins with a full-size Season to Remember basketball for only $149.95, featuring scores of every game along with embossed logos, championship history, and more on panels of the ball. Order now. Get one of only 5,000 licensed balls. Call 800-345-2868, 800-345-2868, or visit nikcosports.com.
For the greenest, lushest lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And thank you to Dalton Miller for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. We'll talk a little NBA, preview the NBA playoffs. My buddy Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show. He joins us coming up here in less than 15 minutes. The Masters, we are halfway home at Augusta National. And I got to tell you, man, you talk about the leaderboard with the Masters. I don't know if you could ask for a better leaderboard. Your leader right now is Justin Rose, right? 1 under par today, 8 under for the tournament. He's 1 shot clear of Bryson DeChambeau, 7 under. Then you got Rory. And Rory McIlroy, what a round today. If you'll remember yesterday, Rory had it to 4 under, double bogeys 15, and then double bogeys 17. Goes from 4 under to even in the blink of an eye. Has to stew on that all night long because it was right at the end of his round. Comes back today for round 2, and all he does is fire a 6 under 66. Only 2 shots off the pace. Unbelievably impressive for Rory McIlroy. You also got Scotty Scheffler, the defending champion. He's only 3 shots back at 5 under par. Jason Day, only 4 shots back at 4 under. So it's a really, really nice leaderboard. Unfortunate today that neither Bernhard Langer or Freddie Couples made the cut. Both had an opportunity to. Both could not get it done at the end. For Langer, it's his 41st and reportedly his final Masters. 41 Masters tournaments for Bernhard Langer. Freddie Couples is 65 years old. He hasn't said this is his final one. He won back in 1992. So what are you talking? 33 years since Freddie Couples won his Masters at Augusta. Both were on the doorstep of making it to the weekend. Unfortunately, it did not work out, but still very, very good showings for the 65-year-old Couples and the 67-year-old Bernhard Langer. I will tell you, as we get ready to talk a little NBA playoffs with Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show, Orlando is locked in as the 7th seed in the East. They will be in the play-in portion of the postseason. They will play Tuesday night at home in Orlando, and we now know their opponent. Their opponent will be Atlanta. Atlanta beats Philadelphia today, so Orlando and Atlanta next Tuesday. The winner of that game gets the 7th seed to play Boston. The loser of that game will then have to play the winner of Chicago and Miami for the 8th seed. So Orlando is guaranteed at least 2 more games, both of which would be at home. They got to find a way to win one of them, either on Tuesday night against Atlanta or on Thursday night against the winner of Atlanta, Chicago. So if you're the Magic, I mean, that's all you can ask for under the circumstances. 2 games at home, potentially. You got to win one of them to get into the playoffs. And if you lose 2 games at home in win-or-go-home scenarios, well, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to have a lot of sympathy for you. But it is Orlando and Atlanta in the 7-8. Let's talk Orlando. Let's look around the NBA, and let's preview the NBA playoffs with Trevor Lane. He does a terrific job with the NBA front office show, and he joins us next on a Friday night in Jacksonville, Florida. We're with you till 10 o'clock, as we are every evening right here. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
The #1 station for Gator Nation. 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today.
Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
Trying to figure pricing at most AC companies is like listening to an auctioneer.
Who wants an AC tune-up? Do I hear $3.99? How about $2.99? No, let's drop it. $79? Do we have a deal? Going once, going twice? Sold!
Not at Duck Duck Air Conditioning. We make it easy. We're offering a free AC inspection. No gimmicks, no fine print, just a completely free checkup from our highly trained techs to make sure your AC is ready for summer. Call 904-862-6769 now to schedule. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, because free is better than bidding. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
It's fun to predict because it's usually unpredictable. 1010XL's draft coverage is brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors and First Coast Recyclers. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive.
What's the major difference between a crocodile and an alligator? The answer next.
Lightning, storms, and hurricane winds can ruin recent home improvements. Let Southern Oak Insurance review your policy today. Visit us online at southernoakins.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
While an alligator will see you later, a crocodile will see you after a while.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Yo, it's your main man E.T. here, and it's time to make those summer break plans. Clay County is calling. From paddleboarding on Doctor's Lake to reeling in the big one on Black Creek or cruising the St. Johns River. There's no better place to dive into warm weather fun. Enjoy live music, local festivals, food trucks, and fireworks lighting up the night. Discover scenic parks, hidden trails, and must-visit local gyms. Your summer adventures start here. Visit exploreclay.com.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound and Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass. He told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The NBA regular season comes to an end this weekend. The play-in section of the postseason begins next Tuesday, and the playoffs in unison will begin a week from Saturday. Trevor Lane is one of the hosts of the NBA Front Office Show. You can also catch his work with Lakers Nation, and Trevor's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Trevor, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Getting excited. We're right now here in the home stretch. It's almost playoff time in the NBA, which is a great time of year.
Yeah, it is a great time of year. I'm excited about it. And let's begin with Orlando. It has not been the year that I wanted or any Magic fan wanted, Trevor. They were decimated with injury. I think their top three guys, and if you include Mo Wagner in that as a foursome, have missed like something outrageous, like 160 games combined this year. It was absolutely ridiculous. Yet, for whatever it's worth, they seem to be playing some of their best basketball of the year right now. They're locked into the 7 seed, which means they have 2 chances at home to win 1 game to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, they obviously that puts them in a decent spot in terms of having the 2 chances. Obviously, you've got the Pacers coming up. We'll see what the Pacers are doing there. But the Orlando Magic, they've been playing better basketball. They're on a 4-game win streak. You know, they got the win over Boston. Boston wasn't really playing any of their guys, but still, you'll take it. You'll take any wins you can get. You're at Atlanta, and, you know, that's probably going to wind up being your play-in, your 7-8 play-in matchup. So the final game of the season, I think what you would like is try to punch your ticket and then not have to show Atlanta too much on Sunday for the final game of the season and go from there. But you're absolutely right. Like, injuries have decimated this team this season. We know the way the playoffs are lining up. Even if, you know, whoever comes out of the play-in in the East, you get the unfortunate task of taking on either Cleveland or Boston in round 1. And that's going to be a tough spot to be in, and certainly not where the Magic wanted to be at this stage of the season. But it is what it is. All they can do now is just go out there, see if they can get some wins, and then let the chips fall where they may in the playoffs. At least get a little postseason experience, and then try to regroup this summer.
Well, that's my biggest thing, Trevor, is I don't have any false, proclamations of what's going to happen against Cleveland or Boston in a 7-game series. But to me, if they lose 2 home games to not make the playoffs and lose both play-in games, at that point, that's a disaster. If they get into the playoffs, you can say, all right, well, they won 47 games a year ago. They won 41 or 42 this year despite all the injuries. At least they can take something away from an injury-plagued season.
Yeah, exactly. That would be so. There's a thing in the NBA where it's hard to win in the playoffs unless you've already been there, because playoff basketball is such a different animal. And so just getting that experience, even if you have been there, just getting, even if it's only 4 games, even if you get swept in the first round, you still want that experience in the postseason, so your team knows what they're getting ready for, knows what they're preparing for, and they've got that familiarity with each other. So I do think there's real benefit to Orlando making the playoffs here. I will say if it's the play, and if things stay as currently situated, and it's Orlando against Atlanta, and the Magic are at home in the play-in, I would pick the Magic to win it, but Atlanta's a good team too. They've got the ability to win some games. So that would be, a toss-up. And then you're taking on maybe Chicago, maybe it's Miami. That's kind of a tough one too. So Orlando needs to, I think, get in here, get the win that they need, get the win in round 1, and then you take on, it would wind up being Boston. And that's a tough matchup, but go get that experience. Wouldn't expect Orlando, they would be the heavy underdogs, but go get that experience in the postseason. I think that's going to be important for this team. And yeah, you definitely don't want to end on if you at least make the first round, that's something. That's experience. That's something you can build upon. You don't want to end on the sour experience of, oh man, we didn't even make it through the play-in. That would not be a great outcome here for Orlando.
Trevor Wayne of the NBA Front Office Show. Final Magic question. Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. It took them a while after the injuries to kind of find themselves. Both guys have been sensational, and Paolo in particular. I'm not sure if there's been 5 better players in the league over the last month or so than Paolo Banchero.
Yeah, they're playing excellent basketball, and that's exactly what Orlando needs to see. They need these guys to step it up and get ready to go to the next level. I mean, look at what Paulo's been doing. I mean, 26 and 10, almost 11, 26 and 11 if we round up over obviously a short month, but still, he's been doing this in March. He was putting up 30 a game. This is the kind of talent that he is, and this is why, right, it was so frustrating when he got injured at the beginning of the season, because he started off so great. And it was so exciting. We thought, okay, this is it. He's making the leap this year. He is going from, being one of the top young players in the league to being a full-blown star in the NBA. That's what leap Paolo is going to be making. So the injury derailing him early on in the season was so frustrating. And Franz Wagner as well, such an incredible talent, and that's going to be an excellent foundation to build upon. And it's part of why the expectations were so high for Orlando coming into the season, and why the way this has played out has been a disappointment. Despite the fact that they're at 500 here, because of the growth of these 2 players and the talent that they do have, and the sense that if you could just get healthy and put a couple more pieces around them, you could really have something here. They're not as far off, I think, as the record would suggest. And I think that's, on one hand, it's exciting, but on the other, it also leads to more frustration that this season didn't play out the way you wanted it to.
When you look at the Eastern Conference first round, we obviously don't know the matchups yet, but the consensus is the top 4 teams, Cleveland, Boston, and then whatever order you want to put them in, probably New York, and I would say probably Indiana, considering the Dame Lillard injury. Of those 4, Cleveland, Boston, New York, Indiana, is there any team you think might be in danger of not making the conference semis?
Yeah, I mean, I look at Milwaukee. If you've got, they've got a tough matchup there with Indiana potentially. That's especially if they don't have Damian Lillard back. That could be a challenge for them. Indiana, I'm not saying they would be the favorite going into, because Giannis is Giannis, and he's the brightest star in that matchup. And that would certainly matter, but that could be a tough one. And you know what? Look, the Detroit Pistons have had a phenomenal season. I wouldn't pick them to beat the Knicks, but I wouldn't consider them to be an easy out or anything for New York either. That's going to be that 3-6 matchup of New York and Detroit. I think the Pistons are going to battle. I think they need that postseason experience that I was talking about a minute ago with the Magic. I think the Pistons need that postseason experience. but I do think that they're going to be more of a challenge than most people think they are for the Knicks.
A couple of more for Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show. Let's go to the Western Conference. You cover the Lakers for Lakers Nation. What a disaster for the Dallas Mavericks on Wednesday night. National TV, Luka comes back in, gets the ovation he gets, drops a 45-burger. The entire arena is chanting, "Fire Nico," for the GM of the Mavericks who made that ridiculous trade. I mean, how embarrassing and how embarrassed must the Dallas Mavericks be after Wednesday night?
Yeah, I mean, there's Mark Cuban mentioned it the other day, about a week ago, that, that if Mavs ownership had everything to do over again, they probably wouldn't do some of the things that they've done over the last 15 months or so. And obviously the Luka trade would be part of that. But, it's still a shock. It never made a lot of sense from the Dallas side, even looking at it and saying, well, we really didn't want to give Luka a super max deal if they, for whatever reason, didn't feel like he was worth that. The amount of money they're going to lose in, jersey sales and sponsorships and ticket sales, and how many people, I think they really underestimated how negative the backlash was going to be. Fans canceling their season tickets, all of that. Like this, if this was done for financial reasons, I think this is a financial disaster for Dallas. In addition to a huge setback for them organizationally. Now, they couldn't have predicted that Kyrie was going to tear his ACL almost immediately after the trade, and Anthony Davis was going to get hurt as well. But that, too, has been a big problem with all this, because if the Mavs were healthy, they'd probably be pretty good. They'd be a good team. Maybe they would have a shot to win here this year. And that's the only way that they can prove anybody wrong, is by winning. They have to win the whole thing. They win the whole thing, and they can always point to that and say, see, we made the right decision. But that's it. And now their window for this year is already shut. Their window for next year may be shut, depending on what they do this summer, because they're already going to be missing Kyrie for a good chunk of next season as well with that torn ACL. So this is the complete disaster for the Dallas Mavericks. And you saw it on Luka's face last night. You saw, bawling before the game, just the tears. He didn't know if he was going to be able to play in the game. You saw how bad he wanted to stay in Dallas. It was an indefensible decision by the Mavs.
Trevor, there's a logjam in the Western Conference as we wind down the regular season. I think there's like 4 or 5 teams that could finish anywhere from 3 to like 6 or 7. It is wild. We know the 1 seed's going to be Oklahoma City. We know the 2 seed's going to be Houston, maybe the surprise of the league that no one's really talking about. And then you just got a complete logjam. How do you think that works itself out here in the final days of the regular season?
Oh, it is wild in the West. I know for my Lakers, they need to win one of their final 2 games in order to lock up the 3 seed. They've got Houston tomorrow. But you've got, Denver, the Clippers, the Grizz all tied with 32 losses. The Warriors and the Wolves tied with 33 losses. But some of these teams play each other. Memphis has a game against Denver coming up. Memphis plays tonight against Minnesota. The Clippers play the Warriors on the final game of the season. That could very well determine the standings in the West. It's anyone's guess what's going to happen. And even looking forward and trying to project, this team should be that team. This time of year, it's so difficult to say who's going to win what, because who knows who's actually playing. Some teams might be sitting guys. We saw last night, the Spurs beat the Warriors at the buzzer. You never know what's going to happen. So trying to predict this, it is, I have been, right? I've been trying to figure out what's going to happen here. And I'm losing my mind trying to go through all the different possible combinations. The only thing we know for sure is that it is going to be, I think, exciting in the West all the way down till Sunday's final games, because I don't think we're going to know exactly how it's going to wind up until the final buzzer on Sunday.
Final moments, Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show. That's right, the regular season ends on Sunday. The play-in begins Tuesday. And for Orlando, it looks like they're going to be in the 7-8 game, which would be next Tuesday to officially begin the NBA postseason. Trevor, we'll hopefully have you back on as we get into the playoffs a little bit. But before we start, who are the favorites? Is it clearly Oklahoma City in the West? And would you say Boston in the East, even though they're the 2 seed? How do you assess the favorites going in?
Yeah, OKC, certainly. They've got, the best point differential in the league. They've got the best record in the league. They are definitely the favorites to come out of the Western Conference. You look at the East, a lot of the championship experience that Boston has, a lot of people have them giving it, having edge over Cleveland. I do think stylistically, I give them the edge over Cleveland as well. But I'm not counting out the Cavs. They've played phenomenal basketball all season. They have the best record in the East for a reason, the best point differential in the East as well. So I would not count out the Cavs, but I think we're pretty clearly headed towards a Cavs-Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. In the West, The Thunder certainly the favorite to get there, and then who knows who would be in the conference finals from there. I think it really is a complete toss-up who will wind up being in the West Finals against OKC.
And the crazy thing about the West, two teams that are going to make the playoffs that are very good have fired their coaches in the last, 10 days, 2 weeks. I mean, wild what happened in Memphis and Denver, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, shocking. We were shocked when Taylor Jenkins got fired with 9 games remaining on the Grizzlies schedule. We said, oh, my God, this is way too late in the season to fire a coach. And then the Denver Nuggets turn around and fire Michael Malone, the championship-winning coach, with 3 games remaining in their season. This is unprecedented. That we've never seen stuff like this before for a playoff team, a team going to the postseason to fire their coach with 3 games remaining. Incredible. Absolutely unbelievable. Shocking, to say the least, that they made that decision. But here we are. They've been struggling, and we'll see if this jolts them out of their malaise in Denver. But I could not be more shocked than, the only thing that was more shocking was, I think, the Luka trade this season than when I got that notification that Michael Malone had been fired. That's now the second time this year that I've had to double check and make sure Shams Charania was not actually hacked in that moment, because it was so unbelievable that the Nuggets have fired their coach.
Trevor, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, the NBA front office show, also Laker Nation, where they can find your work.
Yeah, you can find the NBA front office show over on YouTube. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And then Lakers Nation, same thing, YouTube, and then the podcast feed as well. And you can find me on social media at Trevor_Lane on X, and then at Trevor Lane NBA on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, all that.
He's one of our favorites, Trevor Lane of the NBA front office show. The playoffs are set to begin next week. Trevor, we appreciate it. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to Trevor Lane of the NBA front office show for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark as the regular season in the NBA ends on Sunday. The play-in begins on Tuesday. That's where you will find the Orlando Magic. They are locked into the 7 seed, which basically means they have 2 chances at home to win 1 game. They'll play in the 7-8 game on Tuesday. If they win that game, they will be in the playoffs as the 7 seed taking on the Boston Celtics. If they lose on Tuesday, well, then they will play again on Thursday against the winner of the 9-10 game, again in Orlando. And if they win that game, they will be the 8 seed taking on Cleveland. If they lose both home games, they will not make the playoffs. But if you lose 2 times at home in the play-in scenario, at that point you probably don't deserve to make the playoffs. So that's where Orlando is. Obviously, the NBA playoffs in unison will begin a week from tomorrow. Favorites are clearly Oklahoma City in the West and probably Cleveland and Boston in the East. But it should be really interesting to see how it plays out. So we certainly spent some time on that. We spent some time on the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL draft tonight, as we are now inside of 2 weeks away from the NFL draft up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we also spent some time on the Florida Gators, not just the basketball team who will have their national championship celebration tomorrow, but on spring football, as the spring game is played tomorrow over in Gainesville. Billy Napier and his staff wrapping up their 4th spring with the orange and blue game. And we talked a lot about that tonight here on Hacker After Dark. That will just about do it, man. It has been a very busy Friday night and a very busy week here on Hacker After Dark. We have a ton of people to thank for tonight's broadcast. Again, Trevor Lane of the NBA front office show. Always appreciate Trevor taking time out for us. Thank you to Dalton Miller, NFL draft analyst. I've had Dalton on for years. Always enjoy Dalton's work, and we thank him for joining us this evening as well. And Will Miles, readandreaction.com. He's also part of the Gators Breakdown podcast as we looked at the spring game tomorrow at the University of Florida. Now, we will be back on Monday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green in Jacksonville. Thank you for listening all week, not just to Hacker After Dark. I was also in on the Frangie show this week. Been a busy week. I enjoyed it, and we certainly thank you for listening to both the Frangie Show and Hacker After Dark all week here on 1010XL. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Friday evening and a fantastic weekend, and we will do it all over again Monday night right here on Hacker After Dark beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
There was a time when sports radio in Jacksonville was small. Then came 1010XL.
Look! It's gigantic! It's colossal.
1010XL. Extra large radio.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor, outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30